All right. Hello, everyone. Whoever's out there listening to this coffee chat with us, there's 7 people actually watching in and listening. And I have with me, welcome back, by the way. We haven't done this for several months, I think. I got twisted and have we done any this year? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I'm glad we're back. What I want to do is a weekly coffee chat, invite some very smart people about our the whole child program and what we are about, and then get some panelists in, and then open it up for parent community questions and dialogue. So this morning, the topic that's heavy on my mind, and it might be on Miss Jack's as well, is social media and the impacts it's having upon our community, but mainly upon our youth. Now I have with me Miss Rochelle Jack. She's an amazing spirit in the universe, but she's also more to me is a counselor to me and the whole Paideia way. Miss Jack, introduce yourself and even your journey to this point of where now you're the counselor for our Paideia Liberal Arts Academy.
Hi, everyone. My name is Mrs. Jack. I've been here at Paideia for about 3.5 years. Yeah, because I started as a 3rd grade teacher across the street, and I love teaching. I love our belief system here. And this is my first year across the street as the school counselor. Counseling has been my passion for a long time. And I wanted to go into the classroom because I wanted to understand the teacher's perspective of what she has to deal with every day with her scholars, so that I could be more effective in my role as the counselor in not only having the ability to assist the scholars, but to assist our teachers and make sure that they have everything they need to be successful in the classroom. So that's kind of how I got here, and I love my job. I'm passionate about it.
Your job loves you too, and I'm so thankful for you. Hey, Miss Jack, even this morning, we had the morning assembly as we always do at the elementary campus. It was joyful, such energy, and one young lady comes over to me and with some sad, distraught face during all this joy. Just trying to talk to you. I said, well, not during the joy. Let's get this done. So right now that's why Miss Gord isn't here with us, but it sounded to me like some other kids came over and they hugged her, as we do at Paideia. Other girls came over and they wrapped around her, and I was listening in just a little bit, but it seems like something happened last night over social media that she couldn't navigate. And now she's distraught during the day because of something that happened last night with social media. How often do you see the impact of social media from 3rd grade on up? Because you were a 3rd grade teacher too.
Very frequently. You'll have, they establish groups on social media, so they're communicating with each other, the scholars, people outside of our school group, and there becomes a conflict, and it comes right to school with them. And it happens very frequently, probably every week. And it excels until it gets to that point where it explodes. And it explodes right over into the campus and their behaviors here and their relationships here. And then we have to bring that solace, that peace, that calmness to the situation, and talk them and walk them through how to handle everyday situations that get out of hand.
Yeah, we're talking a lot at Paideia about the brain and digging into the science of emotion, the science of trauma. And one of the articles that I read on this idea of trauma is that social media is fanning the flames of any existing trauma that might have been small. Well, there's no, I mean, like something that's manageable, then you throw social media into that, then that fans those flames of trauma
Yes.
even more. Another thing I read over the last week was we always have I, I was going to use the word fight, but it's not a fight. We always have the push and pull and the conflict of cell phones on our
Yes.
campus. And so then we're like, well, I need my cell phone. I want my cell phone. But here's what the article told me. The article said that as long as the person has that cell phone device with them, and they were talking about at night. So the child goes to bed, or the adult, and the cell phone's right there. Then they pick it up before they go to sleep, and they're just checking, did I get any more likes or shares, or did anybody else say anything? Then they respond at night. Now I can't go to sleep because I'm worried about it. What are they going to say back? Or they said something back, and or my tweet or whatever it is, my Instagram was misread. Then they can't sleep.
Yeah.
Then they bring that cell phone to school, and even if the cell phone is off and tucked into their backpack, the research is saying that a big part of their brain is still connected.
Yeah.
Do you see any of that kind of thing from your experience?
I do. Yesterday, I had an incident where a young lady who actually, Miss Windsor, intervened.
Oh, I
And
heard that.
did she tell you about that?
I saw her
And
with a child, with a scholar, young lady.
yes, and she said she had emailed me, and she said she had just seen her kind of sitting alone by herself. So she approached her
Oh,
and kind of walked her through the process because she was feeling alone. And so later on in the day, after I received Mrs. Windsor's email, I went and pulled the little girl, and she said she was dealing with internet issues where kids were bullying her from her other school. She's actually new at our school because
oh,
of incidents like that, where they were saying mean things to her on the internet, taking pictures of her at school and posting it on the internet. And we have that no tolerance rule here where your phones are not out, so you can't take those pictures of kids at school while they're just doing normal everyday things, but you're posting it and putting things that are not so kind about the students. And so just walking her through that process yesterday, and how our community, from Mrs. Windsor to myself to how we just engrafted her and took her under our wings. And
yeah.
she took the time to walk with her and talk with her. That's who we are.
Yeah. Wow. I saw her with this young woman, and I wasn't sure how it happened, but she just reached out and noticed. So
Mhm.
Mrs. Windsor is my sister. No, she's my wife, and she's in the purchasing department. So I'm
Yes.
not her boss, as
No.
marriage often is.
Yeah.
So I'm just so impressed that in our community that somebody noticed and reached out and helped.
Yes.
So that stuff was going from the previous school.
Yes.
Goodness.
Previous school. And so it's still troubling her. And I think you've heard me say before, your mind needs somewhere to rest.
Yeah.
And so receiving positive information from the people around you, the people who care about you, whether they're teachers or counselors or just people in our communities, telling her, listen, this is a place where you can find solace.
Yeah.
We don't have to be troubled, and speaking into her little spirit,
Yeah.
and just bringing calm to her, um, I think was very important for her brain just to find a place to
Yeah.
rest, kind
But
of
that's
where you
interesting that
were.
you'd say that is on in this article that I posted on Facebook, um, about how using social media affects teenagers. I've read this a couple of times over the week, and it's a short article, and I like the print is big, so I could read it. A couple of things that mentioned on in here is that texting and the social media has is almost disabling our communication because we can't see body cues, we can't see
Hmm.
facial cues. We're
Hmm.
just reading the text, and then we have the same emotional reaction.
Yes.
So I mean, my daughter even broke up with a boy through text
Wow.
years ago before there was really the other stuff, and it blew up. It blew up. Another thing, what just prompted when you said that was, um, it says here that another big change has come with this new technology, especially smartphones. We are never really alone.
Wow.
Kids update their status, share what they're watching, listening to, reading. They have apps that let their friends know their specific location on a map at all times. Even if a person isn't trying to keep his friends updated, he's still never out of reach of a text message. The result is we feel hyper connected with each other.
Wow.
The conversation never stops. And it feels like something new is always happening. And then it goes down to says that even in this sense of hyperconnectivity, we feel alone.
Wow.
Sense of loneliness.
Wow.
Wow. That's just amazing. Hey, I'm going to send out, I'm experimenting with something. I'm going to send out a poll to all of
Okay.
my folks. So I have a poll. Let's experiment together. There's several people on. Excuse me. And this one is social media and my child. Let's just see if it works, okay? So
Okay.
if everyone on could just respond to the poll, I hope we can see the results of it. And it's all anonymous. You can't see who it is. But one of the questions is, how many hours is my scholar on social media? I'm worried about the impact of social media. See what happens. 3 is, our family has created clear rules and procedures for social media use. 4, my scholars have been victims of social media bullying. And then I would like Paideia Academy to, got change glasses, to teach kids about the dangers of social media. I would like more information about social media and how to manage it with my family. All right. So this first one, got about 50 seconds left to go. It says that, oh wow, most of it is 1 to 2 hours a day. More than 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
Less than an hour. I have an app on my phone. I didn't even know I had it till it pops up that says, hey, this week you've been on social media for
I
this
have that.
hour. I don't know.
I
Oh,
have that.
okay, I got to get control of this thing. 'Cause I go into my Facebook page to see my grandkids and stuff, and then I find myself scrolling through the little reels or whatever. It's like, oh, that's so funny. That's so
Yes.
funny. It's like I find myself, I don't know. I'm worried about the impact of social media on my scholars. Not worried, a little worried, more is like a little to very worried about the impact of social media from our small group. Our family has created clear rules and procedures for it. Oh, good. Most have. Well, and here's where I was in that created but not implemented very well. That
Yes.
was our family, because our family grew up in the very beginning of this social media world. My scholars have been victims of that. Yes, not sure. And you know what? Number 3, not sure, is a lot of times we don't know.
Yeah, it's true.
You
We don't know until it escalates and it's out of control. And then
know?
that's when we find out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the kids are dealing with it on their own, trying to handle it on their own, but they don't know how to handle it because it's happening, like you said, all during the night, all day long. And when they get on there, they see it and it overwhelms them. They don't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
So we have to give them the tools to be able to handle it, to be able to back away from it, to be on those schedules that parents are seeking to become diligent with, so that, because it's hard. It's hard. Your kid has the phone. You want to use the phone for, I've heard parents say, so that I can make sure I can keep up with my child and I can communicate with them. But it has to be a very precise schedule that you have them on and that you're really trying really hard
Yeah.
to enforce,
Yeah.
because it's for their mental health, it's for
Yeah.
their own safety.
When we first got cell phones for the girls, because our boys were all gone by this time, but we had the girls at home, and we had the rule that they don't go in your bedroom. All
Mm.
the cell phones stayed in downstairs on the counter in a basket. The problem with that is number um, created but not implemented well.
Mhm.
Right? We have all these good intentions, but it's like, oh, dang it, I'm a weak father. I didn't
Yeah,
want to have. Sometimes Miss Jack. Sometimes I just didn't want to have the fight.
yeah,
I
yeah,
just didn't want to have the struggle and the fight. Now
yeah,
I've had some parents have told me, well, my daughter, my son, my child has to have this because if something happens at school, I need them to be able to reach out to me. Parents, I want to be very
yes,
clear. All the research, every school trauma and traumatic event that's happened, that gets in the way.
yes,
We don't want all the kids texting and tweeting and Facebooking or Instagramming out what's TikToking out. It gets
yes,
in the way of every rescue effort for the school. So
yes.
if that's your reason, please, that's not a good one. Some are like, well, I understand this one. So someone's like, well, I need them to be able to text me when they get off the bus at the bus stop.
Hmm.
Okay, I see that. And I need them to call me when they get home. I see that because we don't have the landlines anymore.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, good poll. Well, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to next, we're right at that spot to open this thing up. So if you have a question and answer, you can just raise your hand, I believe, and Miss Jack and I will do our best to answer any questions you might have. If you want to talk, just raise your hand, and I believe I can just scooch you into us, and we can have a chat. Oh, I recognize some wonderful. Wait a minute, Miss Poland. See, are you getting in here? There she is,
Chelsea.
Chelsea. Miss
Hey,
Poland.
sorry, I have a couple scholars, but I've been listening in to everything.
Hey,
Ah,
so everybody, we absolutely love and adore, cherish our Chelsea, who's our chief
yes.
medical technician, and I mean, I can't say enough about my love and respect for you, Miss Chelsea. Do you see any impacts of social media in your stewardship of the physical health of our scholars?
All the time. They come in, majority of the time, scholars will just come in and sit in here for a minute,
Hmm.
sit and draw just to kind of get some things out. But when they're ready to talk, that's usually what it's about, is that somebody said something
Hmm.
that they know. And it's really affected them. So we'll take a walk. We'll go to the garden area, and sometimes I'll try to get or see if Miss Gord's available to pull like a small group circle, and just kind of help keep everybody together. But yeah, it's not out of hand, but it's just gotten to a point where we almost aren't able to control our emotions sometimes, and we just want to get back to the basics of them.
Yeah, totally agree. Whoa, Miss Italy, another highly cherished individual. All right, we got Katie, Miss Rodriguez. So the morning assembly today, Miss Rodriguez was just powerful, wasn't it? All right, Italy and Katie, go ahead. What do you got, Italy?
Well, I just wanted to bounce off of what Miss Chelsea was saying about how a lot of scholars have been coming to us and seeming really down because of things that they're seeing on social media and things that other people are saying on social media. So it is something that's constantly affecting them and pulling them out of class because they can't focus. So it is affecting how they're learning.
Yeah, I would just beg everyone to leave the phones at home. I mean, it just is there. Miss Rodriguez, go ahead.
Oh, hi, Mrs. Jack. This is Noah's mom.
Hi.
Noah's
Hi.
mom, yes.
Yes.
That's awesome.
My struggle is my husband kind of planted the idea in Noah's head that he might get a phone when he turns 10. So it's kind of like, I don't know about that, but the idea is kind of in his head. So my husband's like, you have to show us that you can be responsible and this and that. So I guess like my dilemma as a parent is kind of like, what is that phone gonna, like, what are the limits gonna be? And like, to me, I don't want there to be any like social media on there. Like, I feel like 10 is too young. Like, I just want it for him to call like to call if he needed to in case of an emergency, or to text, whatever. So I guess that's kind of like my dilemma with that. And then my other issue is I allow him to watch like 30 minutes, sometimes more, of like YouTube, because he wants to go upstairs and he wants to have some time by himself and not have his brothers around and stuff. So I allow that, but like he's upstairs in my room and I don't know what he's watching, but I do, like, I go in and I like get something from my room and I just like kind of check to see what he's watching. And so I have a pretty good idea of what he's watching, but every once in a while he tells me something and it's kind of like you shouldn't have opened that. So it's kind of like you want to trust them the most that you can, but that people still do sneak stuff and they do lie even at a young age. So
Some time
I
ago,
talked to my husband and it's like we were gonna probably change it to like the kids YouTube, and he's like, well, then I can't watch some of this stuff. And it's kind of like, well, I don't know. So
well,
that's my dilemma.
that's a common dilemma. Last year or so, we had Geronda Montano on. And I think it's in our YouTube channel. She spoke about pornography and about the dangers, because we're not in a world where we have to seek that out. It seeks us out. And so some of our kids are being exposed, not because they're bad, they looked for it. It's just the feed came up and they clicked on something that lured them in. And so one of her counsels was well, you're a great example of this, Ms. Rodriguez, of having open dialogue with our family. And then also all media devices needs to be out in the kitchen or in the open sun, in the open air, where they could see it. Now, I had a mom last year, I believe it was, and I think she's still with us, and I could reach out to her. Her son has a phone, and I took it away from him because that's what I do every time I see a cell phone. She was very gracious. She came down and she let me know that, and I won't say names or anything, but this little guy is on the autism spectrum. And so they use this phone for geo-tracking, and then he only had 2 or 3 people that the phone would even allow him to call. So she had locked down the phone somehow with Verizon or whoever, to where the phone was only used as a family tool for safety. So I gave it back to him because I understood the need for that. So I think there is ways for us to control that.
Yes.
Good question.
There are ways. There are safety features for kids that you can put on the phone so that they can't go to certain websites and do certain things. So I would, Ms. Rodriguez, I would look into those types of features and yeah.
Let's see, I got Miss Hobage. She's got a hand up, and then I've got a few. So let's go with Miss Hobage next.
Good morning.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
So yeah, Bella's had a phone for some years just because she would stay a lot of times, with my mom. And, if mom didn't answer the phone, I would get frustrated, stressed out, and be on the way to see if they were okay. But I was able to lock it. And it's like a family type of app, and you can actually control and watch everything that they do on their phone, even the smartphones. I still get, even as I've like opened it up a little bit as she's gotten older and stuff, I'm able to track everything through my phone. And it alerts me because I have her Gmail that I attach to that phone. I have it on my phone. So every time she takes a picture, it sends it to me. Every time, she goes on something she's not supposed to, it alerts me, or tries to, because someone, it's usually locked. But we opened up YouTube recently just because we try to send her things like when she tries out for the plays and stuff, we want her to be able to watch the videos. So, and the kids' YouTube is just not a very friendly YouTube at all, to be honest. But you can lock it, and we do make Bella keep her phone out. It plugs in the kitchen at night.
You know what that app is called, Ms. Hobage? I'm going to put it in the chat. If you remember
it's a family app, and I'm trying to remember exactly what it is. I think if you just look up like family, what was that?
Ms. Martinez, I'm putting you in our window here, so I think Ms. Rosinos had a question too, but Ms. Martinez, go ahead. No, this is Ms. Brand. Is this Sophia's mom?
But I know that if you ask whatever, carrier you have, we have Verizon, but if you ask them, they will help you get it. Because when I first got her the phone, I was very hesitant. And I started with one of those kids watches, and those just do not work very well.
Yeah,
It would
that's, yeah.
on stuff and call by accident, and it like stressed me out more than it was worth. So so when we switched to the phone, it actually was a lot better. And it does stay in her backpack, because if she does after school activities or goes home with grandma, but she has never once pulled it out of her backpack without a teacher permission. And if that, if I'm wrong in that, please let me know.
Ms.
But,
Brand, let's hear from
Can
you,
you hear
Ms.
me?
Brand, for a minute. What I see your comment in the question. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the app is
Oh,
called
Michael,
Family.
Michael. I'm so sorry.
No,
I
you're
thought you said
good.
Michelle, my bad.
Definitely. So the app is called Family app. I believe it's only for an Android phones, which is but it's very great. You can establish time. So let's say if you say, oh, you are only allowed to use the phone for 30 minutes every day, you can schedule that, and automatically it's gonna lock out the phone. They're able to still do calls, so to whoever they have on their phone. So they just make calls, but you can also allow them to download different apps, such as, for example, if it's for teenagers and below, or everyone, or children, and it's gonna sort out like the different apps that they have in their Play Store, so that way they are allowed to use the app. Same thing with YouTube Kids. You can set their age, and we'll show them different videos or things of that nature for their age. So I really recommend the app. My daughter has it. I can track the phone as
If you
well.
don't, if you don't answer, you don't have to answer. But are you Sophia's dad?
Yes, that's correct.
Oh my gosh, another wonderful family. I love you guys so much.
Thank you. So the app, I really recommend it to everyone, and I keep telling everyone to use it, because even you can block the text if you don't want to text to nobody, you can block the text as well. You can block YouTube. Yeah, YouTube.
Is
You
there a
can block
way,
email.
Mr. Brandon, is there a way, because one of the problems we have is kids taking pictures of other kids that don't even
You
know
can
that
block
they're
the
taking a picture. You
camera as
you can
well.
block the camera?
Yes, you can block any app that you have on your device. The only thing that you're not allowed to block will be calls. So even if it's locked, the phone is gonna be locked. The only thing they're allowed to do is to call. So I know when my daughter is calling me, it's because maybe their phone got locked and she wants maybe 10, 20 minutes of extra time to play. And I'm allowed to just add bonus time if, let's say, oh, I want to give her 10 more minutes. And then I from my app, I just go ahead and 10 minutes, and that should be all.
Wow, okay.
It's a wonderful app, but unfortunately, I believe it's only for Android devices.
You know what I could do is, as a community partner, we can do some research through our IT company to see what are some apps we could push out for you guys, our community, to help protect us. Because in all reality, there is no way for us to stop all the phones from coming and going to our campus. I realize that in today's world, there's no way to do it. But what if we could say, look, if you're going to bring it, it has to be parent protected and blocked or whatever. But then that has to go in the honor of the parent doing that. Wow, thank you for sharing that. Ms. Rosinos, I saw your hand earlier. Did you still have a question or a comment? Raise your hand if you do. All right, we're into the last minute. Thank you so much for joining us. This was a great topic. We're going to continue on this with our Friday coffee chats. I'm working on some technology in our conference room with a video bar with coffee on it. No, a video bar to where we can have a group of you in our conference room to chat, and then live stream it out to the community and to record it for future purposes. We're going to test it out at our board meeting on Monday. Let's see how it works. So any last bits of counsel and wisdom from you, Miss Jack?
No, it's just awesome to see all of you here, and we're gonna work through this process. We're gonna do it together. Thank you for all of your input.
We'll be stronger together. All right, thank you,
Yes.
everyone. We'll see you again next week.
Bye.